Welcome back, time travelers. The name Napoleon evokes images of conquest, revolution, and imperial grandeur. But beyond the towering figure of Napoleon Bonaparte, two other Napoleons followed in his footsteps, each marked by ambition, hope, and historical significance. These three Napoleons, Napoleon I, Napoleon II, and Napoleon III, represent not only a bloodline, but also a vision of France as a dominant world power. Their lives reflect the turbulence of 19th century Europe, shaped by revolution, empire, and national identity. If you are liking these videos, help out the algorithm by giving it a thumbs up. Also subscribe and hit that notification bell for more upcoming videos. Napoleon I, 1769 to 1821. Napoleon Bonaparte, born in Corsica in 1769, rose from obscurity to become Emperor of the French and one of the most influential military leaders in history. Emerging from the chaos of the French Revolution, Napoleon's brilliance as a strategist earned him rapid promotion through the ranks of the Revolutionary Army. In 1799, he seized power through a coup d'etat and declared himself first consul. Just 5 years later, in 1804, he crowned himself emperor, a symbolic act that marked the rise of a new dynasty. Napoleon's reign transformed France and reshaped Europe. He introduced the Napoleonic Code, centralized government, reformed education, and advanced meritocracy, many of which remain influential today. His military campaigns, known as the Napoleonic Wars, saw him conquer much of Europe. Victories at Austerlitz and Jena made him a legend, but defeats, particularly the disastrous invasion of Russia in 1812, began his downfall. Napoleon Bonaparte was defeated during the War of the Sixth Coalition and then forced to resign by his own officers. After his abdication in 1814, Napoleon I was exiled to Elba. In 1815, Napoleon I escaped and retook control of France. After a brief return during the 100 Days in June 1815, he was defeated at the Battle of Waterloo by the Seventh Coalition and exiled to St. Helena, where he died in 1821 of stomach cancer at age 51. Napoleon I left behind a complex legacy, a visionary reformer and ambitious conqueror whose influence stretched far beyond France's borders. Napoleon is considered one of the greatest military commanders in history, and Napoleonic tactics are still studied at military schools worldwide. He established a system of public education, abolished the vestiges of feudalism, emancipated Jews and other religious minorities, abolished the Spanish Inquisition, and enacted the principle of equality before the law for an emerging middle class. Napoleon II, 1811 to 1832. Napoleon II, born Napoleon François Charles Joseph Bonaparte, was the only legitimate son of Napoleon I and Empress Marie-Louise of Austria. Born in 1811, he was immediately given the title King of Rome, a symbol of his father's grand imperial vision. Though declared Emperor of the French by Bonapartist loyalists in 1815 after his father's abdication, Napoleon II never ruled. Napoleon I originally wanted Napoleon II to succeed him, but that was rejected by the coalition victors of the Sixth Coalition, a coalition of European nations, Russia and German states that defeated France and drove Napoleon into exile on Elba. At just 4 years old, Napoleon II was taken by his mother to Austria, where he lived under the supervision of his grandfather, Emperor Francis I. In Austria, he was renamed the Duke of Reichstadt, and his life became that of a quiet aristocrat rather than a ruler. Napoleon II became a romantic symbol of lost imperial glory for Bonapartists, often referred to as the eaglet, a young heir robbed of his destiny. Despite his noble lineage, he was used more as a pawn in Austrian politics than a real political figure. A bright student and military cadet, he was admired by many in the Viennese court, but remained isolated from France in the Bonapartist movement. Tragically, Napoleon II died of tuberculosis in 1832 at the age of 21. Though his life was short and without political impact, his memory was cherished by Bonapartist sympathizers as the rightful heir who never had his chance to lead. Napoleon III, 1808 to 1873. Louis Napoleon Bonaparte, the nephew of Napoleon I and cousin of Napoleon II, was born in 1808 in Paris. After the fall of Napoleon I, his family lived in exile across Europe. From a young age, Louis Napoleon nurtured a dream to restore the Bonaparte legacy and return France to imperial greatness. Following failed coup attempts in 1836 and 1840, leading to imprisonment, he finally seized his moment after the 1848 French Revolution. That year, Napoleon III was elected president of the Second Republic with overwhelming support, capitalizing on his famous name and promises of stability. In 1852, after consolidating power and with public approval, he declared himself Emperor Napoleon III, establishing the Second French Empire. His reign lasted 2 decades and was marked by modernization, economic growth, and bold foreign policy until the defeat of the French army and his capture by Prussia and its allies at the Battle of Sedan in 1870. Napoleon III undertook massive urban renewal projects, particularly in Paris under Baron Haussmann, creating the city's grand boulevards and parks. His domestic policies encouraged industrial expansion, and he improved railroads, education, and sanitation. Also, it was during his reign that the famous Suez Canal in Egypt was built. He expanded the French colonial empire and made the French merchant navy the second largest in the world. However, his foreign ambitions, such as the ill-fated intervention in Mexico and tensions with Prussia, proved costly. In 1870, the Franco-Prussian War erupted, culminating in his capture at the Battle of Sedan. With his defeat, the Second Empire collapsed, and the Third Republic was proclaimed in Paris. Napoleon III went into exile in England, where he died in 1873. Though not as militarily brilliant as his uncle, Napoleon III was a savvy political operator and reformer who left a lasting imprint on modern France. In a nutshell, France thus became prosperous under Napoleon III's government, which in turn helped the country reassert its power and influence in Europe. The saga of the Three Napoleons spans nearly a century of European history, from revolution and empire to restoration and modernity. Napoleon I redefined leadership and warfare. Napoleon II symbolized a lost future, and Napoleon III attempted to recapture imperial glory in a rapidly changing world. What do you think of the Napoleonic legacy in world history today? Drop your thoughts below, and remember also to check out our history quizzes in the community section.